You are listening to the Healthy Happy Mommy podcast, episode number 44.
You are listening to the Healthy Happy Mommy podcast with Nikki Lee Gorovich, the faith, health, and business style podcast for Christian boss moms, so you can train from a fellow mompreneur and other experts how to run your business, raise your babies, and maintain your health, all while keeping God at the center of it all. Here's your host, organic obsessed, crazy chicken lady, and world's okayest mom, Nikki Lee Gorovich.
I made a big mistake, you guys. A really big one. Can you guess what it is? I weighed myself. Why in the world did I weigh myself? Well, I don't know. Most of the reason, I guess, is because, as I talked about last week, I started tracking my macros again. And like I told you, last time I tracked my macros, I was losing weight and I was eating like a horse and it was wonderful. And I was like, this is amazing. I will definitely do this. This is great. But that was like a year and a half ago. And I, just have been tracking my macros for like a week and a half. So obviously that's not gonna, show huge drastic results in a week and a half, but I don't know. This morning I woke up and I weighed myself and I was very surprised to see that I was actually 10 pounds heavier than I was a year and a half ago, because I don't weigh myself. I don't know if you have heard me say this before, but I do not weigh myself. I don't believe in really weighing yourself at all for, tracking results and stuff. But, I really just wanted to see, just out of curiosity, what kind of, where I was standing basically with this scale and what the scale had to say about my body this morning. Bad idea, really bad idea, because when I saw that I was 10 pounds heavier, I was like, WTF, what is going on right now? I can't even believe that this is possible. And then I reeled myself back in after I was kind of freaking out for just a hot second. I reeled myself back in and went back to the stuff that I know and the stuff that I tell people that, when I am coaching my clients, when we're talking about this kind of stuff and they're stressing over the number on the scale, I go back to what I have taught them and what I know to be true. And I had an idea for a different topic this morning to talk to you guys about on my podcast, but once I went through this morning, I feel like God was like, this is what you need to talk about, Nikki Lee, because a lot of people are stressing themselves out over the number that they see on the scale, and they're not really understanding why weighing yourself is a problem, why it doesn't really represent accurate health. It doesn't represent accurate, basically accurate body composition, because it's a flawed thing, right? And I've said this before, the scale is a flawed piece of technology. There's a lot of reasons why the number that you see when you step on that dreaded thing could be, discouraging. There's a lot of reasons why you might see a certain number there. And I feel like we're not talking about that enough. I feel like society, even insurance companies, they base their ability to cover somebody on their body mass index and their weight and stuff like that, but that doesn't actually reflect accurate health. It doesn't, I don't know. I just feel like we're all concerned with the number and how much we weigh, but that doesn't really mean that you are healthy or that you have the right fat to muscle ratios. There's all kinds of reasons. So today I want to talk to you guys about the reasons why you really should stop weighing yourself. I mean, weighing yourself, I guess, once a month or once a quarter, maybe if you have to, but people are weighing themselves daily and even every couple days. And that is way, way too often because, and I'm going to tell you why, but because your body changes in weight all the time based on the time of the month it is, based on if you're sore or not, if you've just worked out and you're sore, based on what you ate the day before, if you're stressed, there's all different kinds of things. And I mean, and the other thing obviously is like, is your scale even accurate? Is your scale super old and maybe it's not, maybe it just doesn't work as well as it used to, or I don't know, maybe it's just not accurately, recording the weight that you have on it. So there's just all these different reasons. And once I weighed myself this morning and saw that I was 10 pounds heavier, I was like, what in the world is going on? Why do I weigh 10 pounds more? But then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. When I weighed 10 pounds less, that was like a year and a half ago. And like I said, I was eating a lot and I was losing weight. But the thing is, you guys, that that was right into my like fitness journey when I was started really, sorry, my throat has like a little thing. When I really started having like paying attention to lifting weights and really using resistance training and stuff. Before that, I was always an athlete and I was always thin, but I never had a lot of muscle on my body. I was always just very lean and not really very toned, just lean. And, I just never saw any definition in my muscles. I never saw any real big muscle growth in my body. So when I was losing weight back then, when I was, counting my macros and stuff, my body looked good because I was very lean and very toned, but I did not have muscle growth like I do now. Like my glutes, my hamstrings, my back, my shoulders, my biceps right now, I can completely see huge drastic changes in how I look, just muscle wise. And like when I take my before and after pictures and I compare, I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally see so much more muscle growth, muscle definition. And that is presumably, among some other things, the reason why I'm 10 pounds heavier, because most of it is my muscle that I've put on over this year and a half. And since I haven't been weighing myself, over time, I haven't noticed that I was, gaining weight because I was gaining muscle. So it's very easy and very, just tricky to assume, like if you step on the scale and you see a number, that it's very easy for you to believe that now you're fat because you weigh more than you thought you did. So I just want to give you guys these reasons. There's 8 reasons why I believe that you should stop weighing yourself. And a couple of these reasons come from InBodyUSA.com. And then some other reasons are just my opinion, and some other reasons are from Jill Fit USA. I think that's what she is, Jill Fit, something like that. But I basically, I have my own opinion on this, and then I did some research because I always like to back my opinions up with some scientific research so that you guys can, believe that I'm not just, talking smack into the wind about what I think, but this is like legit science. And I just don't want you guys being stressed out over your weight. I don't want you being stressed out over the scale. I always say that the way that you should be measuring your results is by taking before and after pictures, comparing them, how your clothes feel, how they fit, and how you feel, and how much energy you have. And, do you move around a lot easier? Do you have like more energy? Are you in a better mood? Do you feel less bloated? Do you feel less fatigued? There's all these reasons, and these are the things that you should be measuring to see how you actually feel if you've just started a new workout regimen or, a new diet plan. Because losing weight is hard, right? I mean, you spend time in the gym or you work out at home, you're stopping yourself from eating your favorite foods and saying no to the things that make you happy in general and yes to the things that don't. And if you're like most people, you obviously want to see results that justify your hard work. We all do. And that result, more often than not, has to do with seeing that number on the scale go steadily down. I get it. I've been there. So we weigh ourselves, even though you shouldn't, because like, if you're hearing my voice right now, you're like, yes, I know that I shouldn't be weighing myself so much. But you weigh yourself every day because you need a reason to keep going. Everything's fine until the unthinkable happens, like it happened to me this morning, and the scale either stops going down or you notice that it has gone up and you're like, whoa, 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 what is going on? Everything that I've done for the past 2 weeks or months or whatever is for nothing. And repeat this a few times, and before you know it, you're giving up on your workouts, you're giving up on your diet, you're giving up on even trying because you feel very discouraged. So what I want to, reiterate today is that you got to stop weighing yourself. You got to just keep going and learn to have this as a lifestyle. Okay, so the number one reason why you should stop weighing yourself is because you're confusing your weight loss with fat loss. So it's a safe bet to assume that when most people want to lose weight, what they really mean is that they want to lose fat. The problem is that many people use the words weight loss and fat loss interchangeably, which are two completely separate concepts. Losing overall weight is not hard. You'll drop a few pounds if you sit in a sauna for a while. Fat loss, on the other hand, is harder to achieve, and it depends on several factors, and it takes more time than you think to truly lose it. There's a couple key points that you want to think about and consider when you're talking about fat loss. When you lose weight, you actually lose more than just fat. Muscle and water are two other components that make up your weight, and when you lose weight, you can start losing both of those too. So how much of each that you lose depends in part on how much fat you have to lose when you start. Overweight people have more to lose than thin people, and they will lose more weight from fat than muscle than thin people because they have more of that to lose right off the bat. So when you think about dropping weight, you can drop weight, but dropping actual fat takes time, and it takes more time than you think. Many people set fat goals for themselves that are unreasonable. The truth is, without going on an unhealthy near starvation diet, you can expect to only lose 1 to 2 pounds of fat per week at best. So, what I want you to pay attention to is that if you're focusing on weight loss, don't sacrifice your muscle and all that hard work that you've been putting into gaining muscle if all you want to do is lose weight, because you could be losing muscle, and that is precious. You do not want to be losing your muscle. And like you've heard me say, lean muscle mass helps you to lose weight, but there is a basically what happens is like you're like when what I just read, you're losing weight, but you're losing fat so lean muscle mass helps you to lose fat, but you might see the scale go up or stay the same because you are burning fat when you have lean muscle on your body. So your body looks really good. It looks better. It looks tight. It looks toned, but maybe the number stays the same or it goes up. So you're confused because you're like, why does my body look amazing, but the scale does not reflect an amazing number? And that's the thing. Like if you have a bunch of lean muscle mass, you are burning fat. So you're losing that fat, but your muscle weighs more than fat. And because it weighs more than fat, you might weigh more. So don't get discouraged if you see that. Okay, number 2, your glycogen levels are changing, which can cause large weight swings in either direction. Okay, so I totally learned this when I was doing this research. I did not know this, so this is really, really cool and totally an eye-opener. So I think you guys are going to find it to be very interesting as well. Glycogen is a short-term energy source that your body taps into when it needs immediate energy. Although it's produced from many different types of foods rich in carbohydrates like bread trigger glycogen production more than any other food source. It's a very good energy source, so much so that this is the major reason why marathon runners have pasta parties the day before the race. It's the fuel up on glycogen. You might also know this by another term, carb loading. In terms of your weight, however, glycogen has a very interesting attribute. 3 to 4 grams of water will bond to each gram of glycogen. That I did not know. That's the stuff I just learned. You always knew that diet played a big role in both fat and weight loss, but once you understand the role glycogen and water have with each other, a lot of things will start to make sense to you. For example, this is why people lose weight on carb-restricting diets like the Atkins diet. The Atkins diet and other diets similar to it, like ketogenic, paleo, and things like that, revolve around one major concept: restricting carbohydrates and by extension, They restrict glycogen. Once your glycogen levels become depleted, there is less water for the glycogen to bond to. This is why many people who go on a ketogenic style diet appear to lose a lot of weight very quickly. Much of the initial weight loss is simply water. This is why people believe that they've gained it all back after cheating on their diet. A common situation that everyone probably has experienced at least once. They go on a strict diet for a couple weeks and being really, really careful with everything that they eat. And then they treat themselves to a weekend where they eat whatever they want because they feel like they're rewarding themselves. And then on Monday, they step on the scale and they're 8 pounds heavier. So obviously they're in despair, they're frustrated, and they feel like all their hard work was wasted. But the good news is that you really didn't waste any of your hard work. It's only the glycogen that's fooling you, which is really awesome. It's deceptively easy to refuel yourself on carbohydrates and replenish your glycogen levels. A typical endurance athlete, for example, requires around 500 to 600 grams of carbohydrates a day to perform at optimal levels. That's a huge amount. It really is. But consider that unless you actually are an athlete, your carbohydrates need to be a lot less. Add this to the fact that one wheat bagel contains 48 grams of carbs, minus anything you're actually putting on it. One slice of pizza contains 35.66 grams of carbs. And do you ever only eat just one slice? No. I ate a whole pizza last night. But that was because it fit into my macros, just saying. One serving of lasagna with meat can contain up to 40 grams of carbs. 1 cup of steamed white rice contains 45 grams of carbs. One 12-ounce can of soda contains 35 grams of carbs. Yikes. And since so many popular foods are so rich in carbs, it's really not hard to refill your glycogen stores in a day if you aren't watching your carb intake or are choosing not to for a special occasion. By refueling on carbs, you're replenishing your glycogen levels and water is binding to it. So you haven't sabotaged your goals. You've probably put on water weight. Watch how fast you'll lose this weight again if you reduce your carb intake. However, glycogen isn't the only molecule that can retain water, and that's where we're going to go into number 3. You're retaining water due to your salt intake. Salt, or more accurately, sodium, is everywhere and extremely hard to avoid. It might not surprise you that a single patty cheeseburger contains over 500 milligrams of sodium. That's nearly a quarter of the daily recommended levels. But you'd be surprised to know that the ranch dressing you're putting on your salad contains over half of that, as much as 270 milligrams. Yeah, that's right. Or that tablespoon of soy sauce that you're using in your healthy vegetable-only stir fry has 879 milligrams of sodium. Little surprise that the Mayo Clinic estimates that the average American consumes about 3,400 milligrams of sodium in a day. That's close to double what's recommended. Wowzers. Sodium is linked with water retention, and it's the job of your kidneys to expel unneeded sodium out of your body. Until your kidneys are able to do that, you'll temporarily be holding on to extra water. If your daily water and sodium intake habits change from day to day, this can contribute you're holding on to different amounts of water, which will cause changes in your daily weight. So, if you're on a diet but flooded your body with more salt than you normally have, you can expect to see temporary increase in weight. Doesn't mean that all your hard work is for nothing. It just means that you're experiencing additional water weight because of the extra sodium in your body. So don't worry. Number 4, your muscle gains are outweighing your fat loss. And I kind of touched on this before. If you're lifting weights as part of your strategy to burn fat and lose weight, you're doing something right. This is good. You should be doing this. Adding resistance training to your fat and weight loss is a great way to protect and preserve muscle loss as you subtract fat from your frame. This is why I'm always preaching resistance training and weight training. You have got to be lifting weights if you want to preserve that muscle. However, if you're new to weightlifting and you're pushing yourself hard, you're going to see some things on the scale that might surprise you. Your weight might actually not go down. It might go up. Like I said, that's what happened to me. Why is this? Well, like I said, it's because you're losing fat, you're replacing that with muscle. Your weight may not go down, but your body fat percentage actually will. So when we talk about body fat percentage, they take your weight, your skeletal muscle mass, and your body fat mass, and they come up with your BMI, your body mass index. You can find calculators on this online so that you can find out your own body weight, body mass index. But just know that this is all part of like what you're supposed to be weighing. Okay, number 5, you're weighing yourself at different times of the day under different conditions. This is so true, especially for us women. If it's that time of the month, you're definitely gonna weigh a lot more. Or if you're sore, you're gonna retain muscle, you're gonna retain water when you're sore. So if you're weighing yourself whenever you feel like it without being consistent in terms of what time you weigh and what you've done during the day up to that point, the scale is going to mislead you every single time. Generally, people's weight increases during the day due to the foods and drinks that they consume. Food and drink also produce waste, which can also lead to additional weight gain throughout the day. Naturally, this weight gain is temporary, but if you weighed yourself in the morning on an empty stomach and then, without thinking, weighed yourself 5 days later in the middle of the day, you can't compare those weights against each other. They're going to be completely different. Also, if your diet has changed in between your weigh-ins, that can cause significant weight changes. Did you eat an unusually large amount of carbs the day before? You could potentially see very large swings in your weight. But if you remember how glycogen bonds with water, this won't bother you anymore because you'll understand that it's just water weight. Did you just finish exercising? You probably lost some water, leading to temporary weight loss. Were you drinking water while you were working out? Your muscle cells may absorb some of it, causing your weight to respond accordingly. So don't freak out if you see that. Number 6, your weight is not an accurate reflection of how you look in your clothes. And I always am talking about this. You might be seeing your clothes fit differently. You might be seeing, like, for example, if you weigh yourself and you're 10 pounds heavier, but your clothes fit amazing and they look so good, and they're like, all of a sudden you see this definition in your tank tops, your arms look much better, your butt looks better in your pants, your legs look better in your pants, like all of these things, but the scale is saying that you're heavier. I don't freak out, because look, if you look at yourself and like, but I look really awesome, so I really don't care what I weigh. And that's really what I want you to focus on, because even like bodybuilders who do like bikini competitions on stage and stuff like that, they're so muscular, right? But they're in their little bikinis and you don't see an ounce of fat on them, but they could weigh like easily, like a woman who's like 5'7" could easily weigh 145 pounds, but look completely ripped and toned and lean, because all of that is muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. All right, number 7, your weight is not always an accurate measure of health. I kind of like touched on that too. Have you ever heard of skinny fat? That's somebody who tends to have a higher metabolism, stays thin, but might be flabbier with a higher body fat percentage. That is like a lot of people. You see people are like, how are you so skinny? And you eat like that, but they're not actually toned at all. They're just kind of flabby in certain areas, but relatively a thin person. That doesn't mean that they're like skinny or healthy or anything like that. When people are like that, they're actually at a higher risk for chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, and even cancer, not to mention the number one most likely, osteoporosis. It's much healthier to be a little heavier in weight, but with a lower body fat percentage than the opposite. Okay, and number 8, because this is the main one, your ego. Let's face it. You can get an ego boost when you weigh yourself and get a lower number, right? Not that there's really anything wrong with that, obviously, except how exactly are you responding when the number goes up? I mean, let's be honest with each other. It's probably not good. You're not really responding. Like when I weighed myself this morning, I wasn't like, yes, I'm 10 pounds heavier. I'm so proud of myself. I was like, whoa, what's going on? So often for people who are chronic weighers, the number dictates how well their day will go. And I bet there's some of you listening that are chronic weighers. You're using that number to dictate if I'm going to have a good day or not, right? So if the number goes down, you're having a good day because you're saying, "Oh, I weigh less, so I'm going to have a good day." If the number goes up, now I'm going to have a bad day. And that's not good, because if you have that severe of an attachment to the number that you see on the scale, it really is a double-edged sword, because like I said, when it's down, you're up, and when it's up, you're down. And if you have to rely on a quantifiable digit to decide on your happiness, that is not a healthy place to be. It's really not, because you're putting way too much pressure on what a number says. Like, for all these reasons that I mentioned already, you have to see that that is not accurate, right? That is not an accurate way to measure your results, or to measure your health, or to measure how you feel and how your clothes fit, right? So I want you guys to be encouraged that the number on the scale does not always matter, and that you should not be weighing yourself so much. If you have to weigh yourself, I would say to weigh yourself once a month at the very most, because and make sure that it's at a consistent time. I would say first thing in the morning, without anything in your stomach. That is the accurate, most accurate, I should say, most accurate representation of what you actually do weigh. But again, if you're sore, if you worked out the day before, especially if you did like a big muscle group, so your legs are sore, your back is really sore, don't weigh yourself seriously, no matter what the day is. Even if it's like, oh, it's once a month, so it's my day to weigh myself. But if you're sore, do not get on that scale, because you automatically will be retaining water. Or if it's the time of the month, or if you had a big, like something big to eat the day before. All the reasons that I just mentioned. So please remember this. Remember this episode when you think about weighing yourself next time. And instead of looking at that number and attaching that number to your self-worth, I want you to take a step back and love yourself for where you're at right now. Forgive yourself for anything that you've already done that maybe it wasn't the best choice, and start fresh. I would recommend that you take some before and after pictures and keep them in a little folder in your phone, like a little album, and wear the same outfit every time you take a before and after picture. Try to cut your head out of it if possible, because psychologically speaking, if we cut our heads out of it, it's easier for us to see differences when we're not seeing our face. I don't know why, but it's just because we attach our personality, we have like this personal attachment, obviously, to our own body. So if we take our head out of it, we're not seeing it as it's our body. We're seeing it as it's a body. And we can compare this body to this body without our face in it. So I would do that. I would be wearing the same outfit, and I would be taking these before and after pictures at least once a month or every couple weeks. And just track your progress that way. Track your progress through those, and through how your clothes are fitting, how they feel, and how you are feeling. Instead of getting on that bloody scale, I would just say to throw that thing out if you don't need it, and just start tracking your progress that way, and stop worrying about what that number says. 10 pounds heavier or not, I love my body. I love the muscle that I've put on. I love how it feels. I love that I can lift double the weight that I used to be able to lift. And I just love that my body is healthy and strong. And I don't really care what the number says. I mean, I know that it's easy for us to say that when we're fit already. So I get that. I get that you might be like, easy for you to say, you're already fit, so it's okay for you to gain 10 pounds. Because it's definitely muscle. Well, I promise you that it wasn't always like that. It takes a mindset shift to, change how you think about yourself, how you look at yourself. So this is the first step in understanding that the number really doesn't matter, and, giving it a reason why you might see a certain number so you feel better about it, so you're not beating yourself up. So I would love to hear from you. If you loved this episode, if it helped you, please send me a message. You can go to Instagram at The Healthy Happy Mommy and send me a message, or Facebook at The Healthy Happy Mommy, or if you're friends with me on my personal page on Facebook, it's just Nikki Lee Gorovich. You can friend me, send me a friend request, send me a message. Let me know how you liked it. Or you can always email me, hello@thehealthyhappymommy.com, and I would love to hear from you. If you need help, if you have any questions, if you need some accountability, I do have a couple coaching slots open right now. So if you do need one-on-one help, I would love to talk with you about possible options. So just so you know, you're not alone. You're never doing this by yourself. I've got your back. If you need any help, reach out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.